you.
Also to you.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. After he had fed the people, Jesus made the disciples get into a boat and proceed him to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. After doing so, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. When it was evening, he was there alone. Meanwhile, the boat, already a few miles offshore, was being tossed about by the waves, for the wind was against it. During the fourth watch of the night, he came toward them walking on the sea. When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified. "It is a ghost," they said, and they cried out in fear. At once Jesus spoke to them. "Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid." Peter said to him in reply, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." Peter got out of the boat and began to walk on the water toward Jesus. But when he saw how strong the wind was, he became frightened. And, beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught Peter, and said to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" After they got into the boat, the wind died down. Those who were in the boat did him homage, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." Gospel of Jesus Christ.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
So, how many of us remember black and white TV? Right? Remember, like Captain Kangaroo? And, I don't know what was going on there. And I remember we always had black and white TV, 12-inch black and white TV set. And then I guess it was in the mid-'60s that color TV came out earlier, but it wasn't really profitable, so it didn't really come into people's homes until the mid-'60s. And I remember us like saying to our father, "Come on, man, we want to have like color TV." And my father would say, "Listen, here's what you do. Turn off all the lights, have it be completely dark, and then watch the TV. It's the same thing as color TV." So we're like, okay, you know. So we turn off all the lights, and we're looking at my brother going, "This is not color TV." But then eventually, I don't know, something happened. I think my father won money or something like that. And we bought a color TV in the late 60s. And it was like, wow, color TV. So much more powerful and interesting than the black and white TV. But it was still like the 12-inch TV. And then now, right? Now what do we have? Like 90-inch TVs, high definition, 1 million channels, right? So I was thinking of that, thinking like, what would that is like in terms of like an analogy, a metaphor of that we can live our life, viewing and experiencing life like a 12-inch black and white TV from the mid-1960s, for those of us who remember those times. Or what's available is to experience life in reality of a 90-inch high-definition color TV. Totally different experience of that. What if it's possible that we could experience reality, we could experience life in a much more powerful, dynamic way? What if it's possible that we could do that? Wouldn't that be incredible? If we could just sort of almost like Narnia, you step into this world beyond the armoire, wow. Or remember the Wizard of Oz when the house lands and they open it up and it's like, oh my God. Like this incredible, powerful experience of being alive. I know I had shared a while back when I went away. It was kind of funny, right? I was in a seminary, and I wasn't going to go to this 30-day retreat of silence, and I dropped my friend off, and this nun kept on saying, if you want to go, you can go. And I'm like, no, there's no way I'm going away for 30 days of silence. Every time I was in the elevator, or she was either in the elevator or on the other side of the elevator, every time. I mean, third floor, first floor, wherever I was, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Sister Agnes. And every time she was like, you can still go, you know. And I'm telling you, by the 5th time, I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking going to this thing. So off I went. I called my parents. I go, listen, I'm going away for 30 days of silence. They're like, are you out of your mind? Because my mother was probably all for it. But anyway, so I went home, packed all my stuff, and drove out to Blue Point, Long Island for 30 days of silence. 30 days of silence where you're sitting there and you're eating, and all the other guys are there eating by themselves. And of course, you know me, I've got to like try to kid around and everything like that, but they were very serious about it, so couldn't do that. 30 days of silence. You, a bed, and the Bible. 30 days. And I remember going from like being bored out of my cotton picking mind, kind of struggling with myself, you know, like not liking myself. I think it was in that moment that I was like, you know what? You're stuck with yourself for all eternity. You might as well start enjoying yourself. Because you're going to be with you for a long time. So you might as well get along with yourself. Why fight, right? Be your own best friend. And I remember coming out of that experience, and I came home, it was in January, no one was home, and I went to the Livingston Mall, and I went into Herman's World of Sporting Goods, remember that? Sam Goody, right? And I remember the ski jackets, orange and blue and red and all the different colors that were in the sporting store. And I remember, you know, taking my wallet out and like going like, money, $20, you know. I was so acutely aware of everything. Colors, the orange was more orange, more vibrant, the blues more blue. I was so acutely aware of absolutely everything. I'm walking in the mall going like, this is amazing. And yet I had been in the mall millions of times. In fact, we got locked in there when they were building it in like 72 or something. But it was in that moment that I realized, what is it about a human being silent? Silence affects a human being beyond our wildest imagination. And sadly, here I am having that experience, and I could confess to all of you that I don't practice silence as much as I should, and yet I have an experience of it, of how powerful it is to be silent. So that there are many dimensions to reality. I saw the movie the other day, Oppenheimer, about the atomic bomb and nuclear fusion and all of that, you know, and it's an interesting movie. But in other words, these geniuses, you know, and him and Einstein at the end were like, kind of like, what have we done, you know, in terms of this nuclear capability. But it's sort of an interesting thing when you think back to like the 1600s. Was there opportunity for nuclear fusion and atomic energy? Yes, but they just didn't know that it was there. So this other dimension, this power that was available, they were not aware of it, they were not conscious of it. Now, what if ourselves, when it comes to the power that is available to us, the ability to enter into a different dimension of being, a different dimension, a deeper way of experiencing being alive is available to us? And what if the way to do that, the portal that we enter into to experience that is silence. Right? And when you think about it, isn't it true, like, our mind, see, you know, our mind, right now your mind is going, don't listen to this guy. He's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Because your mind wants to, right? You get in your car, you get the radio going. You know? We go home, we're on the phone, the TV. Constantly filling ourselves with noise. Right? Do we do that? Why do we do that? What is it? Why is silence an enemy? They'll say that if you're with another person and you're silent for 4 seconds, it becomes unbearable. I can't be silent with this other person for 4 seconds. I have to have a joke. We have to have it funny. I have to tell you something interesting to listen to. Think about that. What is it about silence that we dismiss or that we run away from? Why do we do that? I mean, one of the reasons is your mind wants to constantly pull you in. It wants to think thoughts and have all this information, and all 9 of you get in the shower, right? Yeah. If they do that, I'm going to do that. I can't believe what she said. I'm going to, right? All 9 of you are in there. But what is it about silence? Really? Think about this. This scripture says to us in many, many occasions, silence. Elijah. It wasn't found in all the thunder and the lightning and all the grand, Cecil B. DeMille, all that kind of crazy stuff, right? No, God was found in the silence. So let me ask you to ask yourself this question. What role does silence play in your life? How often are you deliberately and consciously silent? It's interesting, we'll have a communion meditation, relaxing music. They actually know that silence is more relaxing than relaxing music. Because even relaxing music is noise. But there's nothing more relaxing than silence. Silence gives you an inner peace. Practicing silence every day helps you to sleep better. You have a better immune system. Silence, if you ask Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein and Tesla, silence helped them become more creative. Albert Einstein, so many times, went off by himself when he couldn't figure out something. He goes, I know what to do. I'm going to go away and be completely quiet by myself. That's what Einstein did all the time. And he was a pretty smart guy. Silence enables you to hear more. You ever do that? The other day I introduced myself to somebody. He's a Viking fan. I go, hi, I'm Drew. I see him. He goes, yeah, I think his name is Don. And I go, oh, nice to meet you. Blah, blah, blah. We're kidding around about the Vikings. I leave. I go, oh my God, what's the guy's name? Are you kidding me? I wasn't even, I don't know. Was I listening? Was I present? Think about that. The more silent you are, the more you hear. When you're silent, you notice the birds singing. You notice the little children playing. You know, if you go to the beach, you're going to go to the beach later. You know what I mean? And you just watch life all around you. The seagulls looking for food, the kids running around, who's doing what, you know what I mean? Swimming in the ocean. And just to allow that and take that all in. What we can very often do, the mind wants to go, God, it's windy out. Really, it's hot out. The jellyfish, the this, the that, and yet in the midst of that is this awesome experience called the beach in August. The creativity, the opening up, the listening, the hearing, all occurs in silence. What role does silence play in your life? What I would like to say to all of us today, and you're free to not do this, what if we, for the next 2 weeks, we're going to agree, it's like the diet club, right? No, we're going to agree that we're not going to drink soda. No. We're going to practice silence deliberately and intentionally every day, 10 minutes every day. Now, I know that's a lot of times. We're very busy. 10 minutes every day. And then in 2 weeks, we'll come back and maybe we'll have a little conversation about it. And just so, in other words, the research is that your experience of reality changes. If you're silent and you're sitting there, you're noticing your thoughts. Well, I've been complaining a lot lately. I'm being negative, angry. I haven't forgiven that person. In the silence, you get to experience who you really are. So let's just for like a minute, okay? And see if this seems like forever. Okay, so for 1 minute, we're going to be silent and just focus on your breathing. Everybody's breathing, right? So we're breathing. Okay? Ready? Go. 1 minute. Okay, that was 1 minute. Did that seem long?
Yeah.
Right?
No.
No, it didn't. Okay. It did. Right? I'm looking at the thing going, oh, that was only 30 seconds. 1 minute. 1 minute. So let's agree, can we, to 10 minutes every day where you're going to sit and breathe. A lot of times in my office, let's say it's like 3 o'clock, and I go, I'm going to give myself permission to do absolutely nothing for 15 minutes. And I sit there from 3 to 3:15. I'm not going to make a phone call. I'm not going to read anything. Nothing. I'm going to sit there. over time, it becomes one of the most pleasurable experiences of my day. To just sit there and not do anything. I was thinking I forgot to do it. I was going to bring a bowl. I was going to put my wallet, my keys, and my cell phone in this bowl, right? And just put it aside. Put it aside. Just allow yourself to be. So like right now, what is today, the 13th of August? 13th of August, 28 minutes after 10, we call it Sunday, right? It's also called the present moment. It's just called now. And life is always and only right now. This is life. To be present to life and to be silent opens us up and accesses our ability to tune into the source of life, the living God. And you can get into all sorts of scientific things that they've discovered about silence and the benefits of it in terms of your immune system and sleeping and being relaxed and things like that. I mean, all anxiety, all worry, all fear, it comes from your mind. You're making it up. You're making it up. It's a mind-made sense of self, walking around, making it all up. Creating a narrative, as opposed to just allowing this moment to be. Listen to the scripture. The disciples get in this boat, and Jesus says, I'll meet you over there. I don't know how he was going to get there because it was a couple miles, right? So
Jet ski.
Jet ski. see, he has this knowledge. But what does Jesus do? He goes off to a mountain, which was the place of the divine, a mountain, to a quiet place to pray. He goes off by himself to pray. Do we go off by ourselves alone, quiet in silence, and pray? And I think when it comes to prayer, it's not so much, it's just being with. Goes off by himself to be alone with the divine. And it seems that every powerful event in Jesus' life is preceded by he went off to a lonely place, a quiet place to pray. I don't think lonely is a good word, because I think if you go alone by yourself with God, you're never alone. Loneliness really is an experience. Loneliness is another mind-made sense of self. There's no such thing as loneliness. You're alone with yourself. So he goes off, and we were talking before about, you look at the story of Jesus walking on the water. Now, did Jesus walk on the water? I don't know. I mean, whatever you guys think, I don't know. Could Jesus walk on water? Yes. Could Jesus multiply loaves and fishes? Yes. Could Jesus be transfigured like last week? Yes. Could we keep it on our hat and not tell anybody? No. But notice where, if we look at the storm, they're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed by life. And Jesus comes in and walks above the circumstances of the life. He's above the circumstances of life. What do? We live in the circumstance. We live underneath the circumstance. We let the circumstance determine us, define us, freak us out. We live in and under the circumstance. Jesus lives above the circumstance. The power of prayer and silence enables us to live our lives above the circumstances of our lives. Yes, we're grieving, and yes, we're sad, and yes, we're going through difficulties, our bodies, our physicalities, the problems that we have, right? Things that have happened to people in our families. They're all part of being human. And yet there seems to be this opportunity, this ability, this power to live above it and not let this determine our emotional state of being. So in other words, to be a Christian, to be a disciple is it like, here's life and here's me? Or is it, here's life and here's me with the power of Jesus Christ? Christ comes in to those disciples and says, what are you afraid of? Why are you scared? Why do you have this anxiety? Don't you know that the very power that I have that's walking on this water is inside of you? Available to us, just like nuclear fusion is available several hundred years ago, but we didn't know it. The portal, the access to this power comes through silence.